Okay. Well, I think I know how to still know how to do this as far as I know. But welcome back to Conspirinormal, everybody. It's been a minute. It's been several months since I've actually done a show. Did a little short 10-minute thing with Surfiel about like a few weeks ago, which we just posted. I just posted up as I'm speaking on November the 13th. But yeah. So I'm gonna be coming back here with a few shows and also realize that I've never actually got around to ever doing actual episode 500. And in the past, as a few of these gentlemen can attest, usually when I hit an episode of the every 100th episode that I do, it's usually some kind of big party. Uh I know Josh was there.
Oh
Josh Cutchin
man,
is here,
I
and
I was
he
out
was
of
there for
body
the
for that.
200th episode.
Yeah, I was out
Uh
of body for the 200th episode.
You were out of body for the 200th episode. I remember that because it was you and Randall
Yeah,
Carlson
and
drove up.
I'd picked up a bottle of like limited edition Hellboy like cinnamon
Remember this?
whiskey,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
just like finished the whole thing. It was a bad
Oh,
decision.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah,
that was in 2018.
yeah.
Wow.
And I think the 300th episode and the 400th episode we didn't do any kind of special parties. The party became Strange Realities, really, if you think about it. But they were bigger to do affairs. I think one we did with just fans, and then another one we did
OnlyFans, you could say.
with 400 episode 400. We had a big show, but this one's going to be just a lot more tamer. I just wanted to keep it a little more low key and not as much people. So if there's people that I missed, sorry, but this is I picked some of the closest people that I know in
Oh.
this field and have
And
been
did
doing
they
it
all
for a
turn you
while.
down, Adam?
They all turned me down. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll go down the roster, man, of who we got here tonight. So, I mean, we got Tim Binnall, who's been a big
Woo!
supporter of both Conspirinormal and Strange Realities. And
Congratulations on 500, Adam.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And for I'm gonna be bringing and the show's coming back. When we start doing some more shows, more picking up in the new year, but stay tuned in December. I'll be doing some more, a couple, two or three more episodes. And we have Nathan Isaac, who is a good friend. I went to go see him up in Somerset, Kentucky not that long ago.
Yeah.
And Joshua Cutchin, who you just heard,
Yep.
who's been on the show several times. All these guys have been on the show several times. And of course, last but not least, was the first ever guest I had on
Yeah, I'm
Conspiranormal,
least.
which was Dr. Future is here to hang out with us. So,
Yeah.
uh, guys, thank you for being a part of this. And also, if like, we get to talking and everybody needs to tap out or anything, I totally understand. But yeah, so it's good to be here with you guys. I don't think I could have picked a better crew, honestly.
Well, thank you very much. Again, congratulations on number 500. And I
Yeah,
know the Conspiranormal fans are psyched to have you back, Adam. They were
yeah.
very thrilled when you were on the Matt Hopewell show. I know that.
Yeah,
So,
that
yeah.
was yeah. I did that towards the end of September, and I was very happy to do it, and I hope I made hope it made sense. But yeah. So really I think what's on I think by Nathan's request, I think he really wants to hear about this Bigfoot hunt you
Yeah,
guys
Oh,
dude.
did.
boy.
Oh,
You and
jeez.
Yes.
Tim
Yeah.
in the Georgia forest. Of course, I will say that, we won't go into, if you want more detail, go listen to Manal's episode about this that he just did not that long ago with him and Josh. But Josh, actually, how did this whole thing start, man, with you going out on a Bigfoot hunt?
I had been aware of Scott and Sheila Granger through the Expedition Bigfoot Museum up here in Georgia. And um they are people who have gotten a lot of good results on their outings. Some of the footage that plays on a loop in the museum is actually from Scott and Sheila. And I had the chance to meet Scott and Sheila about a year and change ago when I went out with a friend of mine, Brandon Thomas. that's sort of a long story in and of itself. But we went to one of Scott and Sheila's research sites, and it was a very quiet night for me, with one exception, and it was an exception that again felt like it was sort of tailor made for Joshua Cutchin. We're out there, we're sort of waiting for something Bigfoot-esque, um, all night. Nothing happens, with the exception of the fact that like there may be five of us sitting around a campfire. We're all within sight. Our cars are all around us. This is, mind you, this particular area was across about 15 minutes of driving over private land to get into the back of some public land. Not another car around, right? That's not even an option. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at someone across the fire from me, and I hear a car door slam. Everyone's accounted for. No one's near their car doors at
Okay.
all. And I
Interesting.
look at her and I said, "Did you just hear?" And she goes, "A car door slam." And I'm like, "Yeah." And everybody else around us was like, "Okay, so what?" You know, I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like, this is its whole thing. This is like a Ron Moorhead, John Keel sort of observation that people would hear car door slams in areas of Bigfoot activity in the middle of nowhere." So, anyway, I talked with Scott and Sheila at the time, and they said, you really should come out and do one of these overnights with us. So, gosh, about a year ago, I contacted Steve Berg and Tim Binnall and said, "Hey guys, don't want a Christmas present from my family. I don't want a birthday present. I just want to go out and do this with you guys." And so flash forward to what, 2 weeks ago or so right now. And Tim and I made it down here. Steve was unable to attend. He had a work commitment pop at the last minute. But it was an interesting weekend. If I don't know if you want to add anything before we talk about what did or didn't happen, Tim.
Oh God, it was. I mean, yeah, it was an unforgettable weekend. It was
Yeah.
sort of a.
It
It
was a
was just sort of.
trial. It was a trial in a lot of
Yeah, it
ways.
was a
Yeah.
trial. Yeah, I mean, like I was saying to the guys before you got back on, before you got on the show, Cut Show, we were waiting for everybody to come on. It was like I still,
Hurt.
yeah. Like Kutch sent me an email. Kutch sent me a text like I think like Monday or Tuesday where he's like, "I'm feeling nostalgic for the suffering we went through," and I'm like, I haven't finished suffering yet, so I can't feel nostalgic. I have like I don't know if I got like bronchitis or what, but I've just had like wicked bad
The Bigfoot flu.
chest congestion and coughing fits and shit, and just been felt like shit all week, and just and I mean
Well,
we got
yeah.
back like almost 10 days ago now, so it was
Yeah, if it
like
makes you
holy
feel any
shit.
better, I'm still on the tail end of it myself. I got the thing that I
Yeah,
got, I was still on the tail end of, yeah.
yeah. It's like what the hell were we thinking? Sleeping in these tents and this.
Well, yeah, because that
Yeah,
first night was one of the more miserable experiences that I think I've had.
You had like what, like 20 something degree weather, right?
yeah. It was
Yeah.
like 27
The first night.
degrees, and we were just
No heater or anything in the tent, just tent camping.
yeah. We just
Tossed and turned all night, yeah.
it was brutal. It was really brutal, but it was kind of like you do look back on it now and be like, well, that was an experience, And I think once I shake this cough, I'll feel better about the whole thing. But
Well,
for now, I'm just like, oh God.
I honestly, Tim and my relationship with Tim was kind of touch and go there for a minute, I feel like, but we made
It
it through
was
that too.
certainly stressful. Yeah, no, I
Um,
mean, I don't think you can go through a
but
weekend like that without sort
there
of
were
fighting a little bit.
there were great people involved though. Kelly Lockman and Mike Lynch, friends of ours. Yeah, I'd known Kelly before, but now consider Mike as well, and just it's a good group of people. Long story short, second night there, um, I'm convinced now, and we can sort of finesse this statement if you feel like it's too, like if you feel like it's too bold, but if these things exist, I'm pretty sure I've heard them now. I mean, like, that's how I feel. As a kid who's like grew up scrutinizing BFRO recordings of purported Bigfoot howls, like I heard things like that. And to Scott and Sheila's credit, that first night, I was hearing things. I just look at them. Was that was that something? And they'd always be very quick to identify what it was and wasn't. No, that's an
Yeah,
owl. No, that's a coyote. No, that's just a dog. Like, don't, that's a bear. That's a
right,
group.
right,
That's a group of dogs cornering a bear. Yeah, we heard that too the first night. But that second night there were some things where I was like, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what you think it is. And sure enough, it did very much put me in the mindset of being 10 years old again and listening to those old recordings like the Ohio Howl and stuff. So I'm convinced that if these things exist, I have heard them. Or if you want to refine that statement. I have heard the same things that people misidentify as Bigfoot. Maybe that's the way you want to phrase it, but either way, like the phenomenon that people hear in the woods of howls, I have heard that, and
So
I've heard
so
the
so
yeah.
so what exactly was it? What
Um,
exactly was it that you heard? Like what? Nice. Okay.
and then the coyotes
It's
get
impressive.
started, after that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
was
Interesting.
yeah.
yeah.
And I would say about 6 or 7 different times we heard vocalizations. It was pretty active that night. There was an odd cough that was unattributed to in the middle of the woods that we heard on the way out. But the really interesting thing that I think affected Tim the most was I had said earlier in the start of the weekend, I'd said, if we can just get something thrown at me, I'll consider it a win for the weekend, right? Like that was like my low threshold for success. And I'd said that a lot, and I'd like thought about it, prayed about it, visualized it, meditated on it, whatever you want to say, right? And then we got back to the campsite that night, and I'm talking with Sheila, and I hear something behind me, and about four of us, including Tim, heard it.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah,
It was weird.
Sheila thought it was my chair. I would have described it as someone tossing like a pine cone or a stick the size of your thumb, like underhanded from right where the clearing was that landed on the pine straw. Um, I don't think it was something that fell from a tree because it was windy as hell the night before and nothing fell the entire time. And this fell between my chair and our tent, right?
Yeah, and there was no like
Yeah, and then
leaf
Tim,
sound.
yeah, well, Tim had a different sort of impression of it too, which is kind of interesting in and
Yeah.
of itself.
I thought it sounded more like a heavy, slightly heavier than a pine cone or a small stick. I thought it was more like, well, I likened it, ironically enough, I heard a similar kind of, not the sound, but a similar, like a rabbit's thump. I don't know if you ever heard a rabbit. They can make a really powerful, loud thump. Because I felt like it was like a weird, there was sort of like a weird plop kind of sound and then a thump. Like it felt like something,
Or
I mean,
a
I'm
pop and a plop. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think I've said to Kutch, like the most maddening part, I suppose, about this is that like we weren't anticipating this, we weren't listening ahead of time. It wasn't like when we heard these howls and we were like, oh, let's pay attention. So it was like you heard the sound, you felt the thump, and that was it. And it was like, oh, you kind of have to rely on your memory of what happened. You can't like, and I was like, I just hope this happens again because I'll be expecting it. But it was like a weird kind of plop. I almost imagined that the plop part was like whatever it was manifesting into thin air.
It,
And then the thump
yeah.
was it falling from
And
the point where it manifests. Like I'm imagining something heavy manifesting, dropping, hitting the ground, and then fucking disappearing. That's
I mean,
kind of like,
that's the impression too. That's the weirdest part of it, Tim, is that, Kelly had his little monocular with FLIR on it, and he pops up and he looks, no sign of anything by the clearing. We could not, it's not, we're not talking about a massive like bit of ground here between me and the tent. It's like what, 6 feet, 7 feet maybe,
yeah,
or
we
something like
easily
that.
would have found anything that like someone would have thrown.
Just
So
nothing there, just nothing
yeah,
there.
it's very
So it's,
weird.
but again, it's so weird to me. I was talking about how the slamming car door seemed like it was tailor made for me. This pop and plop or whatever you want to call it, um, happened behind the one person who like wanted this more than anything else, and someone who like has argued that Bigfoot behaves like a forest poltergeist got like this weird apporty kind of pop and plop behind him.
Yeah, it
Um,
definitely sounded apport like, or however you say it. Yeah, but it was
yeah,
weird. It was definitely, and I'm like as cynical and skeptical as they come, but I was definitely like, I was like, what the fuck was that? That was weird.
yeah.
And then it was like we couldn't put our finger on what it was. So, and like I said, we looked like to see if, because like you never know. I mean, we were all kind of not paying attention. Someone across the campfire very easily could have tossed a rock. We might not have even noticed it or whatever. So, someone could have behind their back or whatever, but we would have.
That's not the crowd though either.
No, I know that,
That's
but
not
you
the
know what I'm
vibe
saying.
there. Yeah,
You
but
got to
yeah.
always kind of take into account every possibility. And it was like, I can pretty much rule that out. A, I think we would have noticed it. And B, we would have found something on the ground that would have accounted for the thing. And there wasn't anything that could account for that weird sound. And then, like, you could feel something hit the ground. Like, not like in a tremendous way, but you could kind of feel it. Like, that kind of like, when you hear something hit the ground, you kind of feel that you can feel the sound, if that makes any sense, where it's like, okay, something solid just hit the ground. So it was really weird. It was kind of like I was hoping that was the start of more, but that was pretty much it for us, I think.
Pretty much died down after that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
nothing really momentous. And this was on the second night, correct?
yeah, yeah. So, it was an experience. I mean, it was the kind of thing that like I'd like to do the weekend again. Like it would be kind of one of those things where after you've experienced it, you like to go back because you're like, all right, when all that shit you were worried about, don't worry
Yeah,
about
you know
it.
what
This
to
is
expect. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So it was a little
logistically,
bit
yeah.
rough, yeah, in
Well,
that
and
regard.
I will say that I had a very interesting like gut check moment because for those of us who are into these stories, you've heard 1,000 times stories about like somebody being in a tent and hearing something walk up or like seeing the tent move in, and like every damn time it's like I didn't want to unzip the tent because I was afraid of what I was going to see. And like sitting in the light of day, you're like, you little wiener, like come on, like why don't you man up, whatever. That night I heard what I thought was footsteps in the campsite, and it turned out that it was the last couple embers in the fire popping, right? But there was a long stretch where I was like, this is a lot more intense. This simple act of opening the flap of the tent is a lot more intense in the moment than it is, Monday morning quarterbacking it. So that was sort of interesting to me and gave me some perspective that I hadn't exactly had before. But overall, yeah, I feel like I can confidently say that Tim and I are now Class B Bigfoot uh, sighting witnesses. Yeah.
There you go. I'll take it, but I won't really, you know,
Won't
I won't.
advertise it, but I'll take it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Not like I'm embarrassed, but it's like I want some real fucking shit,
But
man.
the
But
thing is, like the things that we experienced, you can find reports on the BFRO website that are actually a little bit less impressive than that.
oh yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
that
That's
are
yeah, for
classified as
sure.
Class B because Class A is like I actually saw the thing. Class B is all everything else after that, and yeah, so I think that we would fall into that category. So congrats, Tim.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I think I mentioned this on the show we did, but I do think it certainly gave me a lot of food for thought, and was kind of like, okay, look, I think if we did this again, I think like I would be so much more gung ho about just driving up and down the fucking road at like 1 in the morning in that little, 10 mile stretch. Just go like 5 miles an hour. It's a treacherous road, but if you're going 5 miles an hour, it's not too bad. But it's like these were
Right.
like barren, crazy ass dirt roads, and like half the stories some of these folks told were like, then it ran across the road. So it's like, okay, maybe instead of going out into the woods, we just do like a fucking night patrol and go up and down
Yeah.
this road
But
for like
yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
hours,
No,
two
I
hours,
agree.
and just see what runs out into the fucking road, and have like a cam on there, because I just think that like I think once you start going into the woods, whatever's in the woods is like, okay, there's a bunch of people coming in, we gotta get the fuck out of here. But it's like if you're driving up and down the road, you run the risk of like the Bigfoot being like, what the fuck's coming down the road, and kind of maybe running out into the road or whatever if you're passing by. So that's it kind of gave me ideas for afterwards where I'm like, okay, how would we refine this in a way that would actually make
Right.
more sense and
But
maybe
but
be more successful?
yeah, and those are the sort of things that we would probably plan our load in and load out accordingly for. Like, oh
Right,
no,
right.
we will take a campsite nearer to the entrance so that we can actually get out and do that if we wanted to,
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I really genuinely think that would be. Because I mean, I read all these stories too on BFRO and shit, and it's like so many times they're like, the thing just ran across the road.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're driving up and down the fucking road in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, where they're supposed to be, I feel like you're more likely to run into it then. But I don't know, who knows, or you'll see something fucking crazy weird, You're like, why is there like a little
Well,
Dutch boy
yeah,
walking down
yeah.
the road at 2 in the morning?
I
It's
mean, this
like,
was this was
this
definitely the
is
kind of
bizarre.
place. This is definitely the kind of place for like Pennywise to pop out. It was like
Yeah,
it was an interesting stretch of woods. But yeah, so things were learned, and Tim keeps on saying if, but I know that I am going back in some capacity, with or without Tim. So anyway, I'm looking forward to doing that. Um,
yeah. I expected I would do it again.
yeah, one more try, one more try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, certainly not this time of year. Right? It would have to be like where there'd
The
be almost no.
spring. in the
guarantee, yeah,
summer.
that it would
Yeah.
not
Well,
drop below 30
well,
degrees.
honestly
Right.
though, like last Halloween, I stayed here before while y'all were having the Strange Realities pre-party, and I was in shorts and sweating my tail off. Like
Oh, it was warm that night in
it was
Tennessee. Yeah.
unseasonably cold this particular Halloween night. Um and I will say though, I have to really keep on reiterating this. I've done enough boring ghost hunts where like you're just staring at the wall for like 4 hours where nothing happens. And like we heard things. We got the plop. Like that's more than you has happened to me on a lot of things like this that I've done. So I'm putting it in the W column. Yeah.
There you
You've had a
go.
lot of experiences this year, right? Wasn't this year when you had the other experience too, like the ghost stuff, right? The Was that at Waverly? Was that this year that you
No,
encountered? Or...
the Waverly thing was like 2008.
Oh, okay, so that was a while
I
back.
will say that like I've been like I actually took the time to consciously like write down my past stuff and like I've been keeping a log of it as I have new stuff. And I've been having some it's so easy to just be like, well, nothing ever happens to me, but then you start looking at it, you're like, oh no, I've actually had some interesting stuff happen. Like I partnered with a really good group of folks here in town who have their heads screwed on straight, who do paranormal investigations, and I've caught some really interest about two EVPs that I think are really quite compelling. Which is not as experiential as I'd like, but it's still interesting nonetheless to go back and listen to. So it's getting better. You know what the funny thing is though, Nathan, this is like I feel like I've been doing it all wrong because I've had it be a personal rule that when I go out looking for any of this stuff, I'm not wearing like a ghost t-shirt or a
Right.
Bigfoot t-shirt because that's too on the nose, right? Like it doesn't happen to you if you're wearing that stuff. Motherfucker, I was wearing two Bigfoot t-shirts and a Bigfoot hat when all this shit went down. So it's like, okay, well,
Hey,
okay, I guess, yeah.
you were there, Josh. You were primed. You were ready for the experience.
Well, and
You
it's
broke the rules.
well, no, I think I think I was getting in my own like way academic fart sniffy kind of way of like no that wouldn't happen to somebody who was wearing this, but like I come to realize that like everybody else around me is wearing Bigfoot shirts and like if I do that if I wear that I'm engaging in the sort of like um LARPy cosplay aspect that somebody like George P. Hansen would say actually draws in, the phenomena. So like yeah, I think I've been shooting myself in the foot by not leaning into that more. So that's
Plus,
what I
like,
need to
Oh, there
know.
you go. There
if
you go.
Bigfoot sees someone wearing a Bigfoot shirt, it's like these people are down with me, right?
There you
Right,
go.
Bigfoot,
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bigfoot consents that someone is wearing a Bigfoot
Yeah.
shirt. That's the thing.
Oh.
So,
Well, I would have liked.
so they
Now
put
that I
on it.
think
They put
about
on a
it,
show.
I would have liked it if Kutch was like a super hard ass and like started going around the group. Was like, get that fucking shirt off. Get that shirt off. And
We're
like,
never gonna see
like
Bigfoot with that shirt on. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like pulling people's shirts off and shit. And like these
It's
dudes are
like
sitting there like,
don't wear the band shirt of the
that's what the
concert
thing
you're
is.
going
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
exactly. That's the
Exactly.
thinking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Sergio has joined us. What's up, Sergio?
Surf.
What's up, guys?
Seattle's own.
Uh, not technically, so can't really claim.
Just accept it.
I'm out here in the burbs. I don't think.
Well,
you
Josh,
go.
also, I'll tell you, man, I've been enjoying Fourth Wall Phantoms most of the way through it, and we're gonna I'm definitely gonna get you on once I finish it. We'll talk about it,
Well,
going
I
forward. But it's
I
an interesting
appreciate it.
book.
I appreciate it. It's all a bit much. I realize that. But just there's some stuff that I wanted to get on paper. So kind of a home for orphaned ideas. So I appreciate
Okay.
it, man. I'm looking forward to chatting with you about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and we will definitely talk about it. How have you gotten a good reception from the book though? Like that'll be the question I'll ask you.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
about some of the ideas in it.
yeah. I mean, it's there is a certain contingent of people who read it and they're like, oh, he didn't go deep enough into like Derrida and Baudrillard, and it's like, for Pete's sake, like it's 176,000 words. Like I don't need to
Yeah.
belabor this anymore.
400 something
Um,
pages. Yeah.
yeah, it's not like a multi-volume thing, but it's still plenty big. Um, and but I will say that it's so weird talking about this stuff because I don't want to be too coy, but it's caught the attention of some people where it's like, oh, well, you you've read this too. Awesome. So there's some stuff that's going to happen next year that I'm really looking forward to sharing and talking about. Let's put it that way.
Right.
If
All right.
if 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 we're here next year, that's the question.
If we're here next year, always. Well, I mean, that's always the question, right? Uh, Nathan, I want to get you in here, man, because I haven't talked to you really. I haven't done a show in a long time. I don't think I've talked to you on the show for a while. So what?
In person though, we've all hung
You
out
saw
together
him in
recently.
Yeah, we
September,
have.
baby.
I've seen him in September. Yeah, I want to talk. I want to talk a little bit about. We should talk a little bit about Paramania when we talk about the Ark encounter stuff and Ken Ham, but
Sure,
we'll
sure.
get to that.
Well, I
But
was about to say, if anything goes down next year, we can all escape to the fucking Ark.
we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
We can.
Let's see if this baby floats.
By way of Somerset, Kentucky, man.
I'm
Man,
like, come on, guys, let's let's go north.
Nathan, I'll tell you this, man. Like, I was trying to think about the last time that I was there, which was only about like a little over a month ago. Uh, and I was there the previous month, and I realized I have been in Somerset, Kentucky, like 5 times. I've gone to this little town. I had never thought that I don't think I knew Somerset, Kentucky existed until I saw Hellier season 2. Now I've been there like 5 different times. It
They
seems to
can't get
draw
enough of
me
it.
in.
It's
Yeah,
a fun place, man.
definitely.
I will say, as an interjection, Nathan, that through a series of tossing and turning and different circumstances, and the fact that I had to get back here for a gig that day, and I just couldn't really sleep, I ended up leaving Somerset at like 5 a.m. That's a weird place to leave at 5 a.m. Like, it definitely has that, like, that those scenes, like when they're going to Hobbs End and in the Mouth of Madness. Like, it definitely, the space between Somerset and the interstate, um, when it's dark outside, feels like that. It's pretty eerie.
Yeah, man. I mean,
I'll be honest, the whole place kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. I was just kind of like,
Really,
I
really.
think also probably because it was Sunday afternoon. And there was like, had a little bit of a ghost town kind of feel to it, and it was just like,
Yeah, there was really nothing open, and we've got this guy telling us all these like weird stories about satanic cults and
right. And
shit
there's like
going on. It's
no one
like,
around. It's like barely a car driving by or anything, and it's like, ew, I don't know. I'm like, they know that like there are people watching. I felt like we were being watched almost a little bit. It was it gave me the creeps.
everybody was at
but I
church,
should
man. Everybody's at
say
church.
I should say though too that like Somerset, it's interesting history and all, which Nathan has talked about many times. But like it also is known for the General Lee jumping over the fountain.
Well, now
That
it is. Yeah, yeah.
that was momentous.
That was awesome. And I'm joking. It was like it was.
Well,
It
yeah, say
was.
so. I want like talk about that for just for a second, like because
Were
this
you
is
there to
another
see it, Nathan?
aspect
When
that
it
we
happened?
don't think about. That it's just a normal small town with weird shit going on like that.
I want you to know that while that was happening, it was on my birthday. Okay. It
Wow.
happened on my
Okay.
birthday, but instead of going downtown to watch the General Lee jump, I had a large group of people. For my birthday wish, I was like, my wife's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I kind of want to have everybody come over and make a crop circle and try to summon a UFO, right? And
Wow.
so
Nice.
so we had a large group of people come and we had cake and watched the General Lee jump over the fountain downtown. And then we went down into my field and then made a big giant fucking crop circle, right? And then set up a bunch of lights that flash up at the sky
Wow.
and use the app
Well, it's the
stuff.
perfect place to do it. I mean,
It was
you have
great,
the
man.
perfect area. Just like I remember when Bruce and I went to your house, and you were like, "Okay, which one of you drove?" And I said, "Well, it wasn't me." So he drove he's got like SUV type vehicle. You're like, "So you might be able to get up here," but we go up this like long, like mile and a half long driveway with a creek running through it, and we're like, "Good Lord."
Yeah, man.
And that's
So
your
we're
place at the end of this
right
mile and
on
a half.
right on
Wow.
right on
Nathan
top
is
of this.
hiding out
Yeah,
from the
man.
rest of the
Nice.
world up there, bro.
There you
Man,
go.
do you want to know something really fucking crazy? Too?
Yes, I do.
Uh,
Yes.
so where we are up here, and Adam has seen it, right? You can see for like 25 miles, right? And it's like the edge of the knobs that start the Appalachian Mountains, right? And so like in front of us, it kind of like rolls down into Western Kentucky that's kind of flat, right? And so like when you look off in the distance, and like on whoever built this house, this is what's fucking weird. Whoever built this house built it so that on the summer solstice, there's a slat in the center of the back of the house. And when the sun sets on the summer solstice, it sets on that slat, right?
Wow,
And
that's
so the
cool.
house is built in this weird cardinal direction thing, right?
That's
So
crazy.
there's a mountain in the distance, and and like you can see it, especially when the trees are off. I'm always like, what the fuck is that mountain? And Dan Dutton, comes over all the time, and he's like, I don't know, man, I don't know. So I finally figured out that it was the tallest point in about 100 miles, right? And it's called the Green River Knob, okay? And you can see it from like every direction in multiple counties, right? To where this thing is. So Darian and I, Darian West, who helps me, work on some of this stuff, we were there are a few different Abdina mounds, right? And I was showing you guys that map, right, when you guys were here in town, and out in near the industrial park that's near this house, there's an Adina mound that was discovered, right? And so we were looking for we were trying to feed all of these lidar maps that were like in the state of Kentucky. They used taxpayer money to do lidar scans of everywhere, and so for free you can go online and you can see these lidar scans, and I think they're 6 feet deep, right? It'll go 6 feet underneath the surface. And so when you look at the Adena mounds that we know of that are here in the county, they have a really specific shape. And so we were like, what if we feed all of these lidar squares into a large language model and have it try to figure out if there are other mounds that we don't know about, right? And so so anyway, we were working on this, and Darian scrolled too far, just slightly outside the county, and he and he found a fucking I could pull it up here in a minute. He found this crazy circle of mounds on the Green River, right? And it's at the base of that mountain that I can see, which is the
Oh wow.
highest point. And just below it is an actual, they were called the Green River people. It's not the Adena people, but it is an actual small ancient fort. And so we contacted the University of Kentucky and sent them this. And it's on, I think, a Mennonite farm in Casey or in Casey County that butts up to this county. And the University of Kentucky had not found this. It was an marked
Wow.
actual ancient site that we had found on this lidar thing, man. And it's unmistakable too. It's in the back of a fucking cow field, and you can see it so clearly. While we're talking, I'll find it and pull it up and show you guys. But anyway, it was super fucking weird.
So
That's crazy.
have they had excavations out there at the farm, or do you know?
Not yet, and but I want to go out there and
I'm
talk
sure
to
the
the owner.
farmer's gonna love that.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
dude. Right, right. Uh, it's. I'll show you in a minute. It's fucking freaky, man. It's just like I can't believe it. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I was just doing the scan and it went slightly too far, and it was this like auspicious moment, and he found this thing, just stumbled upon it, right? So yeah, it was weird. It's a weird place, man. This whole area is strange. So as I talk about, but
Nathan, you've been working on an app too, man.
I
Can
have.
you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. I put like all this stuff that we've worked on and talked about, and put a bunch of random number generators into and large language models into an app that allows you to do seances, and you can there's like 13 tools in it right now. I think there's gonna be a total of about 20. And yeah, I mean, it's got UFO summoning tools and lots of just really random stuff. There's talking boards, there's Ouija boards, there's a channeling tool. It uses bibliomancy. All of it's powered by
Nice.
randomness. And yeah, man, I mean, it just builds on some of the theories that we've had and that we've been working on, that I think honestly ties, we talk about information theory a lot and like cybernetics, but like I really do believe that there are information networks like in the landscape, and like some of the phenomena that we are encountering, including Bigfoot or all kinds of things, are because of these complex systems that sort of exist around us and these burned in patterns, right? And whenever these patterns show themselves, when they express themselves, there's a decrease in randomness in the local area, right? And
Interesting.
so the point of the app is to allow people to basically feed information in, gather information and randomness from the local landscape, and to try to detect high strangeness that way. I mean, there's a lot more to it in terms of like complexity theory and like this idea of emergence and self-organizing systems. So anyway, it's putting a random number generator in people's pockets, and then we're trying to build a map of randomness, sort of across North America, so that we can see these patterns as they emerge. Like when people have UFO sightings in an area, is there a decrease in randomness locally, right? Or when people are encountering, Bigfoot or whatever. So that's sort of the idea. And plus, the other side of it is that we've taken all these old cases, these old journals, and basically had an LLM trained on some of this stuff, just in terms of like creating summaries of all of these sightings, and then putting that into the brain of what we're calling Ashtar. And so you can do research with it, and it references, I think we're at about 150,000 cases, and we've been translating French cases, a bunch of cases from different countries, and looking for cross correlations, tagging cases, just trying to run pattern analysis. And so anyway, that's available for everybody to be able to query that. I've used it a ton now in research, because there's so much that's sort of like frozen away in those old stories and those old journals, and now you can kind of like easily. I mean, a lot of these things are available on archive.org and the Internet Archive, but it's not easy to search inside these things and sort of find cases and find connections between things. I was recently, I used it because I, I mean, this is actually on the app and you can look at it, but I was looking at a case in Lexington that involved a mystery boom in the 1950s, and I was like, man, you come across mystery boom stories all the time. And so when you search mystery boom in this data set, there's like 1,300 cases,
Oh,
right,
wow.
of mystery booms. And I was like, well, a lot of these take place in the 1950s and 1960s. And so my theory was, I was like, is it possible that the conspiracy theorists about these dumbs, like, I really do believe that there are some underground military bases just because the military needs them, right?
Right.
Now,
It makes sense that there would be some,
yeah, and and China, actually does have, I think it's like 3,000 kilometers of underground tunnels and bases. Like, that's confirmed, right?
Right,
Now,
right. If we didn't have them, it would be like intelligence negligence or something. It's
yeah,
like, what the
yeah,
fuck? Why don't you have underground
yeah.
bases? What are you,
Russia,
crazy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Russia's got them, and so now, is there a network of tunnels that connect the West Coast to the East Coast? I don't think so, right? But definitely there are some of these, strategic bases, and we know like NORAD, the Greenbrier has the bunker underneath it, right? But I was like, but what if we just for a second we're like, maybe the Phil Schneiders of the world, which I think Phil Schneider was full of shit, right? but maybe there were tunnels being bored underneath the ground in the 1950s and 1960s, and when people were reporting the sounds of machinery underneath the ground and these mystery booms, maybe they really were hearing these tunnels being created, right? So I was like, so if I take and plot all of these in a geocode, all of these cases that are in this Ashtar system that we put together, and put them on a map, and then pulled all of the alleged places where the dumbs are located, right, where these deep underground military bases are, and I do a line of best fit between all of them, will they line up? Like, are the mystery booms lined up along where the tunnels were made to connect all of these proposed underground military bases, right? And so, anyway, I did that and I plotted it on top of each other, and there's a 40% match, like a 40% correlation that shows. I mean, and you can pull this up on Anomalous, and it's like an exact, not exact, but 40% match of all of these places. And I mean, it was kind of, I couldn't believe that it actually had that much correlation to it. So anyway,
I mean,
that's what we've been doing with the
that's
app.
more than, well, is that wait, I was about to show my own ignorance. I was about to say that's more than random chance, but wouldn't random chance be like 50-50?
No, I mean, this is a 40% correlation is like really
Okay.
high. No, this is
It's pretty
like,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I was
They're in
thinking
the
like
stock market.
less than
Yeah.
10%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like barely any real correlation. Honestly, the mystery boom should be a random splattering.
Right. Yeah.
But instead, it actually only tracks to where these bases are.
That's interesting.
And
When's rollout for the app?
so right now it's in beta.
Okay.
And so people that want access can email me, or right, I put it out in the Patreon, right? I didn't want to have too many people because I didn't know if we could handle like the traffic, honestly, and so we've slowly been adding people, but I'll send you guys all links to it, and you can
please do.
Okay,
Yeah,
please.
we're still working through the bugs and stuff too. That's what I've got, a
Right.
bug zapper that people can report bugs, but January the 1st is really when we're going to probably roll it out fully,
Nice.
beginning of the year. So
have you guys watched Battle Beneath the Earth?
No. So is that like the fourth Planet of the Apes?
No, that's a good guess.
Yeah, isn't that Beneath the Planet of the Apes? Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's like the second one. Yeah.
it's a 1967 British sci-fi thriller film, uh, and it's about the Chinese boring underneath the Pacific Ocean and attacking the United States by coming up and also putting atomic bombs underneath all our major cities.
Wow.
Is it based on a true story?
Yeah. Well, I just looked up the plot. Yeah, the poster says an incredible battle is raging right under your feet. And it says scientist Arnold Kramer believes that rogue elements of the Communist Chinese army headed by fanatic General Chan Lu are using advanced burrowing machines in an effort to conquer the U.S. by placing atomic bombs under major cities. In the opening, Las Vegas police are called for a report that Dr. Kramer is prone on a sidewalk telling people he hears movement underneath.
Wow.
The bombs are in tunnels dug from China through the Hawaiian Islands to the United States. In the expected war, 100 million people are forecast to die.
So
Kramer,
how deep does a tunnel have to be located underneath the Pacific Ocean?
Yeah.
How exactly do you do?
well, you have to have
It's like the
good
channel,
temperature.
dude. You need like a super channel.
You go around the Marianas Trench.
You can't build it straight. It can't be straight because then you'd have to go, deeper. So you'd have to mimic the curvature of the Earth as you went around.
What
But it
year was
said
this show?
67. There's a movie feature
Oh,
length.
okay.
MGM. In the expected war, 100 million people are forecast to die. Kramer's committed to an asylum, but when he's visited by the U.S. Navy commander, he tells him what he tells him lines up with observations that Shaw has made. So he gets him released and produces enough evidence to convince the superiors the story is true in order to lead troops underground to defeat the Red Army and defuse the bombs.
Nice.
So I assume now that's probably based on a true story from what you're hearing.
it's
Could
like
be.
is it the
Yeah.
Titanic short story that predicted Titanic, right?
And in fact, I assume this whole thing with Elon Musk and the Boring Corporation, that's a cover. And this is really what they're trying to address. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but our governor, and Adam could tell you more about this, he cut a secret deal with Elon Musk
It's true.
to build
Yes.
one of these underground tunnels from the remote Nashville airport, which is out closer to where Adam lives, straight to downtown. And like nobody approved it or the governor, and there's things like eminent domain and land and, underground rights and environmental stuff. None of that was done. And they just proved it. And the Tennessee government's paying for it all, and nobody knows what purpose. But only Tesla vehicles can drive inside the tunnels.
Really? No, I've not
Yeah.
heard this. I've not heard this part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
only
I think it's like
Teslas.
electrified somehow or something like
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, yeah.
And
But Dr. Future, don't you hate the downtown traffic? I mean, you could just rent a
there's
Tesla then
there's
just to
still
get,
no reason to go downtown. It's to me, anytime I have to go, it's like Black Hawk Down.
yeah.
I would rather drive through Mogadishu than to drive through that
I
with all the
remember.
barricades and the flaming things and the shoulder fired missiles coming at you. I'd rather soon stay out of it.
Now they'd probably get caught, but wouldn't a better way instead of going across the Pacific Ocean would be to go across that little? They'd have to team with Russia, or it would be Russia that did it. Go on that little patch to Alaska.
The polar area.
Yeah, you could do a little underground tunnel there, and then
Well,
kind of go down.
but
That's how
everybody's
I would
looking
do
for
it.
that though.
I know. Well, you have
You
to
know.
start digging way on the inside of Russia. You got to do it
Yeah.
from like the center of Russia all the way. I think that would be easier. But I don't
I
know.
guess if you were running Operation Overlord, you would have invaded with the Allies at Calais instead of Normandy, where they had all of their forces.
I would have had some alternative ideas. I can
Yeah.
tell you that much.
Yeah, China's trying to outflank us there. It's three-dimensional chess.
They're just going to outlast us like they've done everybody else. That's how.
Right.
That's how it's going to work.
Well, we can't get past that Great Wall.
Well, there you go. Have you ever heard? You heard about that giant dam they have?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
What's-
there's this almost 9/11-y thing. I hope it doesn't happen, of course, but it's like there's almost this like 9/11-y thing where people constantly talk about like what would happen if someone blew up the fucking dam. And it's like if they blew up that dam, dude, it would be like the greatest or the worst disaster ever. Like it would.
Yeah.
I've seen like these video things where it's like, yeah, pretty much like a third of China would be completely flooded within like.
I think it's
Within,
called
like,
the
5 hours.
the Three Gorges Dam. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's like, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
one of the biggest dams, and it's on the Yellow River.
yeah,
So,
dude. It
Yangtze,
has this.
one of the two.
Yeah, it has this almost Tower of Babel thing to it, where
Well-
it's like as soon as they built it, people were like, "Well, that thing's gonna get destroyed someday, and shit's gonna go wrong." And it's like, yeah, if you ever like look it up, there's all these like digital recreations of like
Well,
how it
bringing
would
it back
happen and shit.
closer to home, closer to Somerset, the Wolf Creek Dam
Fuck yeah,
a
dude.
few years ago it cracks in it and everything else coming. And the funny thing is the people from FEMA who were realizing it was going to burst, and if it did, the whole Cumberland River coming down through Tennessee, wrapping out through Nashville, through land between the lakes, down into Alabama, it would inundate them in this wall of water that I think Nashville would be up under like 25 or 30 feet of
Oh
water.
my!
They said it was 30 feet. It would
Jesus.
if that had broken, it would have been up to a third-story building.
And it
Holy
was
shit.
breaking. And the people who were the experts at FEMA were trying to warn everybody that lived adjacent to the river, the communities, because they showed how the water would come up many, many, many miles inland on both sides of the river and inundate it. I mean, far away from the shore, and they were getting blown off. People were ignoring it. The media would not cover it, what was happening. And so what did they do? They had to come on Future Quake. And so FEMA
Ah.
came on my show on Future Quake and said, this is an imminent crisis. A mass casualty event will happen, and it's not being addressed, and nobody's fixing it. So what happened after I had that show on, I went to the FEMA website, the official government website, and all the instructions on what people to do was a link to a Future Quake episode.
Oh wow!
That was
You see,
the only
Dr.
media.
Dr. Future is a public utility. He
Saving
is
lives,
a
yeah.
public
Yeah.
servant. He saves lives. Yes.
Institution. Yeah.
He's in league with the deep state.
And
Yes,
so
he is. Yeah, he's cooperating with FEMA.
Yeah.
who told you to out me? Is there any
You
help
get-
for the widow's son?
You get like primo, you get like gold card status at the FEMA
Waiting for the
camps
sign
then.
too.
When it
I gotta,
eventually
I gotta.
happens, when they round us up, they're like, wait a minute, Doctor Future. Oh, you helped us out a few years back with that thing. You get the extra comfy bunker.
Yeah.
You're gonna be in. You're gonna be in the best holding cell we've got, buddy. Come on.
I'll say, there are the guys. There they are. Here, I'll give him a kiss on the cheek. You'll know which one's Tim Binnall when I kiss him on the cheek.
So I want to get to this,
Oh,
Tim.
one other thing about Somerset.
All right.
Y'all didn't mention the thing that's the most distinguishing thing about Somerset from a Kentucky boy. It's the home of the 95-cent steak dinner. I personally experienced
Do you know about this?
What is
Nathan?
this?
Is this somewhere in the
was
lore
this when
of
Jerry's
Somerset,
was still
Kentucky?
here,
The
or-
home of the 95-cent steak dinner?
Where- where's
full
that?
steak dinner with all the trimmings, salad, roll, side, 95 cents. I saw it on the sign. I'd just gone with some buddies tubing, Lake
What
Cumberland,
year?
and we were
Yeah, where and
All
when?
about.
Where, yeah.
right on the main drag. They have like a Vegas strip through Somerset.
Highway
It's
27,
similarly
man.
lit.
What year
Yeah.
was this?
It was just like yesterday. It was like 1983, something like that. It was like yesterday. But driving down that strip, one of those things you put the letters on the sign, 95-cent steak dinner. And I finally convinced them that I saw it and got them to turn the boat around we were hauling. And sure enough, and
Did
I
you
assume
have
it's
the
still
steak?
there. Huh?
Did you get the steak?
Oh, yeah.
Was it good?
All right. Yeah, it was
It's the
good.
real deal.
Was it a good cut?
Yeah.
Nathan,
Oh,
you're gonna
yeah,
have
it
to
was,
you're
if
gonna
it
have
was-
to look into this, into what happened, what shenanigans caused the closure of the 95-cent steak dinner place in
If it
Somerset.
was,
From the early 80s.
if it was
Corruption, man.
83,
Corruption shut that place down.
Maybe Gaterma owned it. He
If it
probably
was-
he might have owned the 95-cent steak dinner place.
if it
Right.
was
Why are people
83, that
studying
would
that
be
stuff?
$3.15 now.
Oh,
Still fucking super cheap.
Yeah, that's
Jeez.
I know, right?
Great.
and
Oh,
tariffs.
Gaterma's
Just the
Steakhouse. All you can eat at Gaterma's.
I don't know if Dr. Future knows about Gaterma. I don't know if
Who?
Alexander was it Alexander Gaterma?
Alexander Gaterma, Mr. X, man. Mr. X.
Mr. X is the name I use in restaurants when they want me to leave a name for a table.
Is that in case you dine and dash?
Well, no, people are just intrigued when they call in table for two for Mr. X. They all want to see who Mr. X is.
Oh, all right. Jesus.
No more than that.
All right. But I don't know if I want to try that or not.
Do you want to see this map really quick, man?
Yeah, let's see that map.
I'll show you really quick. Look. Oh wait, will you let me share?
Yes.
Okay.
This is like the Epstein files.
Look,
Oh God, I hope not.
check this out. Okay.
Check this shit out.
Do you see this? Can you see it?
We can see it.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
see it.
All right. So this is the geographic distribution of all of the mystery booms, right? And you can like click on each one and like read the case, right? But these are all geotagged. Now, if you go to the dumb locations, right?
I'm literally salivating at all the research opportunities here. This
I
is
know, I wanna
pretty-
look at
it's
this,
pretty
yeah.
impressive.
Crazy, right? So then I geocoded all these supposed, from conspiracy websites, these locations, right? Okay, so this is the distribution of the dumbs, proposed dumbs. Now this is the two of them over top of each other. Okay. Look at that.
Okay.
Look at how close it is. See?
Yeah.
This isn't with, there are more, this is without news. I could put more newspaper stuff in, which I'm going to, but this is a 40%. So this is the statistical analysis of this. And
Yeah, that's
so
impressive.
65 booms are within 50 kilometers, 25 miles of the
Wow.
supposed dumbs, 65 booms. 117 of these booms are within 50 miles, and then 217 are within 100 miles. And this, I mean, there's still even more that we could put, but it's a 40.1% correlation between these things. I mean,
Now throw a missing 411 in there and see what happens.
right. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, there's all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
now. And then we could look at tectonic stuff. There are definitely some things that it's like we need to make sure that these don't line up with just fault lines or other things too. But
Right.
it's still strange to map basically the line of best fit between all of these dumbs, the line of best fit between all these mystery booms, and then to see that there is really like a high level of correlation between the two.
Can you
with these,
clarify?
with,
One of them was the mystery booms layout. What was
Yeah.
the other one?
The deep underground military base.
Oh,
Supposed,
okay, yeah,
you know,
okay, got it.
supposed.
What's the event that happened in Nashville or around Nashville there?
And see, there are 3 mystery boom cases in Somerset that are not on here that I just have in newspaper clippings, right?
Oh, it's south. A little bit south.
Hopkinsville.
Right.
There we go.
That's-
Look, man, it goes right underneath Nashville, right?
East Nashville.
Right there. Right?
Well, maybe that's
Goes
what
right-
Elon
can
Musk
you
is
zoom in more?
tying
Can-
into.
Can you
See?
zoom?
Yeah, that's Hopkinsville is
The Kelly Green men would have done that.
Yeah. The biggest correlations are really out here
Yeah.
in the West, you know. Those are the highest ones, and those line up really well. So
Yeah.
anyway, still something to think about, you know. It's weird. But anyway,
Cool.
you can do all kinds of stuff with
Interesting.
it. Play with it.
That's pretty rad, dude. Yeah. Send,
So-
please. Yeah, send that to me.
I wanted to talk about a little bit about the Ark encounter that we visited. You
Yeah.
and Josh and I, Tim, back in September. And then last month, you ended up, actually, because anybody doesn't know, Ken Ham is the founder of the Creation Museum, and then also the Ark encounter that we went to a couple of months ago. But you also had the opportunity to go see Ken Ham speak.
Yes, I did.
And I think that was an interesting experience for you. And kind of want to get Dr. Feature in here as well, because like, you know, this is kind of, he's studied all this kind of wacky stuff. But, you know, for me, the Ark encounter was probably one of the craziest things that I've ever been to. I liken it to the time machine ride at the end of Idiocracy. It was very, very similar. But it's just such a bizarre place. I just get
Well-
you guys' thoughts on
But what
on
made it so
going
bizarre
there.
for you, Adam?
Well,
did you-
just the historical section with all like the weird pictures and like, um, you know, I think Nathan, you said that like it looked like it was out of a Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, dude. The
All
artwork
that
was like
stuff.
Gary
You've been there,
Gygax.
so you've been there
level
too, right?
shit, you know?
You've been over there too, Nathan. So
No, I've never been to it, man.
Oh, you should
You've
check
actually
it out,
been,
Nathan.
okay.
You'd love it.
okay, yeah.
But those pictures you showed me, I'm like, holy shit. this is
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah, it was very much just like heavy metal, like, you know, album covers from the 80s. I guess what it looked like, but it was mostly things about like dinosaurs and humans living together. This is what they really were pushing, was this idea that dinosaurs and humans were living together. So there's a lot of displays of like you had the animals that were like in the ark, but most of them were probably dinosaurs. And then
Yeah.
you know, these little dioramas of like people in the antediluvian world fighting like dinosaurs in like arenas and just like these
Incredible,
type of
incredible
things.
production value on all this, though. I will-
Yes.
Yeah, it was
you gotta
tremendous.
say that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. I mean, it's I think it's well worth going if you're into kitsch, but at the same time, you kind of have to be like a little leery of it, just how much is being pushed down your throat when you're there.
Yeah. You got to be
So-
aware of what you're.
Because it definitely is from a certain point of worldview. But Tim,
Yeah,
as someone
but for
that really,
yeah.
well, as someone that's really not, that doesn't really inhabit that kind of religious world. And like, Dr. Future and I have definitely been exposed to a lot of this stuff. Like, your thoughts on going to see Ken Ham speak and the type of people that were there, just
Oh,
what,
Jesus.
what that was like for you. Because I've definitely, Dr. Future and I have definitely been to these type of conferences. We know what this stuff is like,
Yeah.
but it's for someone that is just like completely just really not familiar, probably with just how weird the evangelical right wing can be in this country.
Yeah. Well, I
That
don't want to
had
get
to have been interesting.
canceled, Adam. But yeah,
No,
yeah. Jesus Christ, Adam's
it's
setting me
it,
up to get
it's okay.
to get put on the
But that
list.
that's what we're but that's what we're talking about. I mean, let's
But
be
yeah, no,
honest.
no, it was cool. I mean, look, what happened was we got back from Kentucky, and no doubt through the Facebook like algorithms and shit, Facebook like threw right in my face that Ken Ham was coming to my town for an event, which is really unusual because my town doesn't really host a lot of like events, even though we have like a really nice Marriott here. Which actually I found out later that if I probably went down to the Marriott like every Thursday, I'd find that there's like a bunch of shit going on that I don't even know about. Where it's like, oh wow, the international assortment of I don't know yarn people are fucking here this weekend. Like I imagine there's all kinds of shit going on that I don't even know they do at the hotel.
Yeah,
But because
right.
it got thrown in my face, I'm like, oh shit, Ken Am. And it was the same 1 month to the day after we went to the Ark. So I was like, well,
Uh-oh. Okay.
this
Well,
is
then
this is a
it's
sign,
yeah,
right?
right.
So if they would think so, I think. So I'm like, well, what the fuck? I'll go. Um, and I mean, I likened the Ark itself because I remember there was some skepticism in the Paramania crowd where it was like, what the fuck, dude? Because I think the impression originally was like that this is going to be like some really low rent thing when it was actually like super high class. Like, they have probably like people that they have like an enormous staff. I mean, they have like fucking concession stands, like, and it was just like, it was an amazing, you could remember I
And a
remember
whole
Cutch was like,
zoo.
get the
They had an
refill
entire
drink. I
zoo.
still have the refill drink, at home, but it was like they know their audience. It's just like a lot of older folks because there was a bathroom like every 50 feet, which as an older man, I quite appreciated as well. Who was also trying to get the most out of my refillable Dr. Pepper. There's the cup.
So,
Yeah.
so, so, so thanks to Josh, we were turned on to the fact that if you bought one of these for $20, you could get free constant refills the entire time.
Yeah,
And
and if
apparently, I
Yeah.
could bring it back within a year
yeah,
because I think
Yeah.
they get rid of the old ones
yeah, and if you do the
every time
Creation
until
Museum,
September.
if you do the Creation Museum,
You
on the
can bring
same
it
trip,
there.
it's a no-brainer, yeah, because you can fill it up there too. So
Oh
like,
shit. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We were all like, well, we were drinking a lot of Dr. Pepper or whatever your drink of choice was. No alcohol,
yeah,
of course, at the Ark.
Right, right, right.
But then, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to this thing. I likened it to, so there was sort of some skepticism, but I was like, as a flat Earth fan, I was like, well, this is like a flat Earth museum. It's very close. Although they disavow the flat Earth theory at the Ark, which
They
is
do.
cool, I
Yes.
suppose. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I was
I
surprised,
thought
but I
their
think
biblical cosmology kind of messed up, don't they?
yeah, I mean, I think they were just like, this is a bridge too far for us, I think.
Oh.
But it's still sort of like an interesting sort of worldview, most people's opinion, archaic sort of worldview, where it's like, okay, this is quaint and interesting, but it doesn't work with what we know with science and shit. So it's like, oh, this is like flat Earth, but a different version of it. Um, so I went to see Ken Ham, and then it was just an interesting crowd of people. I was joking with you, Adam. I was really, as sort of a spiritual free agent, I was kind of hoping to be love bombed by different different groups. No one love bombed me,
Right, 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 right.
so they were like, I don't know what they were thinking, um, and
It looked like
it
you could be
was.
one of the apostles there, Tim.
I know, I know. I'm surprised they did. Yeah, maybe they thought I was too high level to be recruited. So, but it was just interesting. I mean, the people, I don't. I kind of struggle to. I wonder like how much they put much thought into what the Ken Ham was sort of laid out his whole creationist theory, and I was just like, he just kind of blasts you with one thing after the other, so you can't really take time to kind of ponder what exactly he's arguing. Where it's like he's arguing that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and it's like I really wonder how many people there really sort of like sat for a moment and kind of like absorbed all of what he was saying and was like, okay, I'm down with this. Or if they were just like, yeah, all right, well, I believe some of this, but I don't necessarily believe that part, which is probably how it works. But I mean, it was interesting. It was, they seem really blissed out, which I kind of found I envied in a way. I'm like, these people are all fucking blissed out. And here I am, like Mr. Cynical, like watching them, like, oh, wow, they're all real fucking happy, man. I don't, they're really, So I thought that was kind of interesting. And it was, it was cool. I really, no one was mean to me or like threw me out or anything. And then, but I was like, I had the feeling that many of them were there because like they don't know who the fuck Ken Ham was. That was probably the funniest part of it to me because we had talked about Ken Ham like that whole day going to the Ark and Ken Ham this and Ken Ham that and Ken Ham. So when it was like Ken Ham's coming to my town, I'm like, I'm going to see Ken Ham. So like they asked, oh, who's been to the Ark, and maybe like 10%. There was 700 people there at this thing at the Marriott. So, or as they like to say, the only 700 Christians in Massachusetts, which everyone got a good laugh at. So I was like, hey, come on, dude. So
Yeah.
You know what's funny too, man, is that there's like two camps on these like people that believe that the Earth's 6,000 years old.
yeah,
There's the camp that believes that the dinosaur bones were all put there to deceive us. And
yeah.
if you believe in the dinosaur bones, then you're allowing the devil,
Either
you're
by
allowing
Satan or
to
by the
trick you.
USSR.
Right, yeah. But the other camp
Isn't
is
that the same thing? Like I thought.
Yeah,
those
yeah,
were
but
the
you know,
same, basically the same things.
as an agent for Satan. So
Right.
Interesting. Wow.
But
Yeah.
the other camp though is the Ken Ham camp, and they're like, no, they're real bones because they were on the fucking Ark.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's like there were dinosaurs, but they existed alongside people, in the last 6,000 years. So
Interesting. Yeah.
it's also weird that they don't believe in Atlantis, right? I mean, like all of that
I don't believe
artwork
so,
that you
no.
guys showed me looked like they should have some fucking
Yeah.
but
fantasy.
that's when
Yeah,
you believe
it's-
that it goes further back. That civilization goes further
Oh,
back,
yeah.
much less
That would-
humanity. So
Well,
Yeah.
I think they could almost like squeeze Atlantis in there a little bit and be like, well, that was the antediluvian world. I mean, they could
for 100
they could
years, and then,
squeeze that in there. Yeah. Or however long, it was. Right.
Yeah, so I was the only one who knew, like, there was maybe 10% of us who actually knew who Ken Ham, like, was or had any, like, appreciation for him. That's probably the best way. I mean, regardless of what this guy believes, I have a lot of respect for a dude who can build a fucking giant Ark amusement park. Like, that takes some real. That guy has more ambition in his fucking pinky than I do, dude. I mean, I'm not building in a fucking amusement park. So it was like he's like Wally World, dude. So when you can meet him between his little things, so I'm like, should I fucking go and meet Ken Ham? And then I'm like, what the fuck? Of course you should go meet Ken Ham. So like I get in line, and that's when I'm like talking to these like blissed out people, and I'm like, holy shit. So then I get up there to meet Ken Ham. He's like an 80-year-old dude. And he didn't know how. I don't have the pictures here, but like the guy I gave the camera to is just taking fucking picture. So it's like a flip book of me talking to Ken Ham, and there's like all these pictures of me like fucking violently waving my arms around, explaining to him how I fucking found him on Facebook, and he's got this look like on his face, like you can see him like looking at me, and then his eyes like look off to the side, like he's looking for fucking security or some shit. While I'm like waving my arms around and shit, talking to him. Yeah, Cutch has.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I've got the
Cutch
pictures.
may
Hold on.
have one of there's like maybe like 12 pictures. Yeah. I'm just like
Yeah,
talking to yeah.
court, man.
Yeah. And Ken Ham's like, Ken Ham is like fucking just sitting there like totally still, looking across the room like, am I about to get attacked?
Look at that expression.
Yeah.
God,
He
dude, what?
he was not pleased with me. And here I am. I'm like a Ken Ham super fan. So it was look at him. He looks so on guard in that moment. Oh man.
I wish you
Yeah.
had an Ark Encounter t-shirt on, man. That would have been awesome.
Oh my God, that would have been so cool. So yeah, I mean, it was a weird experience. It was interesting. It was a whole another like, you know, people who believe in something I don't. I mean, necessarily. Like I said, I don't even know. A lot of it felt like people who were like, part of their church was like, hey, there's an event and you really should go. And they're like, all right, I'll just go. And it's kind of like that's what you do if you're in these churches. You go to these events they hold. You don't fucking know what it is. Are you going to that thing? I don't know what is it. It's the thing in Burlington, which is it that Marriott in Burlington? It's some guy. He built an ark down in Kentucky. They don't know anything. Like, we'll just go and we'll see Sally there. We'll see Brian there, and Ken. Jimmy's gonna be there, and maybe we'll go out for dinner afterwards and whatever. That's I was like, this is their world. Like I'm at home watching the football, and they're going to these gatherings and sort of in an interesting sort of that's their fellowship, I guess. So it was, you know, it's a it's an interesting thing.
How
It
much
just
were the
kind of what's that?
how much were the tickets to the Ark when you guys went?
The
Like how much
arc
did
was
Like
60,
$60. Yeah, it was
60
per
bucks.
expensive.
person?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But it was worth
But
it. I mean, it was like 3 hours of entertainment.
Ken,
So
Ken Hammett has some money though, right? I mean, this is
yeah, yeah. This thing is like you should really, Nathan. You should really like take an afternoon and
I'd
go
like
on a
to.
Saturday. You would. I mean, it's not far from you, and I think you would really be just to make. Because what I thought was one of the coolest parts is like, and Kutch will kind of vouch for this. Like when you get there, you buy your ticket. It is like Wally World. It is like Disneyland. Like you park in this fucking giant parking lot. You go to this little. It's not a shack. It's like a legit strip of fucking like thing, a ticket booth, and you buy your ticket, and then you wait for the bus. Can you like look? You can't even. You barely see the arc. You can see the arc way off in the distance, and it's like that's how cool. Like you can't even get close to the arc without paying for a
No
ticket.
one would buy
Then
tickets if you can see it from the road.
right, exactly. Then the bus comes and gets you, and then you get close. It's like that's like the Jurassic Park thing, where it's like you're getting closer and closer, and you're kind of looking out the window, and you're like, oh wow. And then when they let you out, it's like, wow. It's like it's just really masterful presentation. It's really awesome.
Do they have any pictures of Jesus anywhere?
They
Do
barely
they like
mention
do they
Jesus,
mix
dude.
the Old Testament and the New Testament
No,
together?
they barely mentioned him. I was like, what about the boss? What about the boss? No one's mentioned the boss here at all, and it's just like, nah, they don't. They're down with Jesus, but he's a different part of the story, I guess.
True to
So I was
form. Oh, I'm just like
surprised.
they got dinosaurs. Why wouldn't they have Jesus? Right.
I think Adam said like they had one thing about someone on the ark whose role was like a carpenter, and it was like sort of like someone else you've probably heard of. And it was like that was like he only mentioned it was like a really weird. Yeah, you would think Jesus would
Yeah,
be all over, but
they also had like the animatronics. You had like Noah and his wife and talking to you and all this kind of shit like that. Like there was a
yeah,
lot of I mean the story behind it is like it was supposed to be a big boon for whatever town that is that it's in, and it did not do as well as it was supposed to do at bringing people in. And I think that that's also why it's so expensive, is that it's been trying to recoup their money that was lost from it.
yeah,
But there were a lot of people there. I mean, I would say that there were a lot of people there. This is like on a Friday. This is like
Friday,
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 late morning, early afternoon.
yeah,
Like, and there were a lot of people
with school
going
back
to it
in too. Yeah.
with school back
yeah,
then. Yeah.
yeah. I didn't see
Sundays
a
are
lot.
the big
I didn't
day
see a
there.
lot of like school trips. This was like older folks. Yeah, it was an
I saw
interesting
some
crowd of
kids.
people.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure
there
there
was a
were
lot of
kids,
older
but I
folks.
didn't.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
there's a lot of homeschooled kids there.
right.
there are.
Christian schools, uh, youth groups, it's sort of mandatory, you know. We used to go to Kings Island. That was the big thing when we were in youth group in church, and now I guess it's the Ark Museum.
I
I
love
was
King
just
Salad.
thinking of Mr. Ballard and the Mormons. They have got to be very jealous with all this
yeah.
because doing this kind of thing is sort of their turf.
They got
You
a whole
know,
capital
the
city, dude. They got a whole state.
yeah, well, that's true.
Well,
But I
they don't
mean,
have
you've
an
got
arc in their story, right? So you can't.
I'm sure they got some weird shit, man.
Yeah, but the arc
right.
is something special. I will say, just to pivot in a different sort of way, but tying to this and connecting it to the Bigfoot thing. One of the more positive takeaways I got from that experience, and we didn't bring this up on Banal American Kutch, but I did mention it to you, I think, as we were leaving. But it's like what was refreshing, and in the same way with my visit to the thing with Ken Ham, the people on the Bigfoot hunt were all from all over the place of different like political persuasions and stuff, but it never came up, and we all got along well. And it was like, at the end of the day, people can disagree about stuff, but like on a fundamental level, we're all people, and we're put in a situation together. We generally just get along, and no one's like, we're just people, and we all can kind of get along. So I thought that was, you know, because like, look, a bleeding heart liberal from just outside Boston going down to Georgia with a lot of folks who were kind of like good old boy type folks. I'm like, oh, geez, they're gonna. But it was like, no, none of that. We all got along great. There wasn't any there wasn't any
Yeah.
political talk. As
You,
far
you
as
may
Let's
or,
talk
you,
about
you
Bigfoot's
may or,
gender.
you may remember a mythical time called the '90s when that was like the way things used to be.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the
Yeah.
most part, people generally don't are starting to just kind of not get into it anymore. Like I'm
It seems
noticing
that
that.
way.
Yeah,
People are over it
more
now.
and more. I think just
Yeah.
there's just a general exhaustion of just like having to figure out where somebody stands.
Yeah.
But Mike,
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you, like what you're hearing, Tim's experience and our experience with this, like, because you understand that culture pretty well. I just wondered if you had any insight into all that,
Well,
Campbell Creationist Museum and the Ark and all that.
yeah. I was going to ask Tim. I've probably asked you this several times before about your flat Earth interest. Have you studied Zion, Illinois a lot?
Yeah. I haven't studied it like a lot, but I know
Yeah.
of it and its history and how it. Um. I don't know if you want to tell the story. I could if you
No,
want.
you'd know better than me, but I mean, flat Earth was sort of an essential belief to live
Yeah. It
in
was.
a theocratic city of like 25,000 people, all everything owned by one man,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in fact founded his own bank that they had to put their money in his bank, and has been described as a racket. But he was one of the real founders of the Pentecostal movement, which is how I found out about this, studying sort of the bizarre history of how the Azusa Street revival and the modern Pentecostal, which is, by the way, the largest Christian movement in the world today. It's
Oh wow.
dwarfing regular evangelicalism or Catholics or other aspects of it. That is bigger than any of these other Christian variants. And so it's worthy of paying attention to. Um, but it was born out of a bizarre cult that had a big influence out of Maine called Shiloh. That the key people, when they made their ideas known over in L.A. at Azusa Street, were influenced by this cult. But the guy who helped with that ran afoul of the gentleman who was running Zion, and they were having competing tent revivals up there, and that town wasn't big enough for both of them.
Yeah.
So they took this gentleman who again was one of the founding fathers of Pentecostalism and basically rooked up this fake story that some young, well, I assume it's fake, I don't know, that there was some younger man who was his assistant going around on doing these revivals, and they had something else going on,
Oh
and
boy.
ruined his ministry in Houston. I mean, you look at the early days, it's like the early days of the mob on
Yeah.
who was going to run the racket, and Zion was a racket, a
Yeah.
financial
Yeah.
racket. And uh, so I just found it very, very interesting that this is, the people in the last 20 years, not currently, but before that, had much more influence in that I was learning more about how central it was to their religious experience. And they had no idea the racketeers that had set all this stuff up in the 20 and the biggest, most influential religious movement of the 20th and 21st century in America and the world.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak too much to what you're saying, but I know Zion, the guy who ran it, yeah, he ran it with like an iron fist. And it was
Right.
like flat earth was part of the theocratic belief system that was taught in the schools and adhered to by the community and everything. And he was like popular, like you know that like cliche of like the old timey preacher on the AM radio station that he was one of those first people that like was broadcasting his
Yeah.
sermons. He's mixed up in the Scopes trial, I guess. Also, so he was quite a character,
Yeah.
and
Well, he
yeah,
actually thought he was like something like a reincarnation of Elijah, and he would dress up like one of the Old Testament priests on the temple grounds. If
yeah,
you look
yeah,
up his Wikipedia, Dowie, I think is his last name, you'll
yeah,
see him
yeah,
in this
yeah.
turban and get up where, he looks this way. It's funny you mentioned the Scopes trial from here in Tennessee because, William Jennings Bryan gets a really bad rap for being, he was defending the fundamentalist, against Charles Darrow and this. There were shysters on all front. I'll just say it this way, including the guys who decided to have this court case that had their own agenda, and everybody was there to make money, even the press.
Yeah.
Everybody had some racket going on. But William Jennings Bryan, when he was pressed on the stand for all of his reputation of being this hardcore fundamentalist, he denied that there was not an old Earth. When Daryl thought he had him, like, oh, you're going to say like nothing existed here, unless for 6,000 years. He says, no, 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 no. I believe there's an old Earth, and others and the fossil records and stuff prove it. He said he just didn't believe that from Adam forward, was like, that the generations were literal, and you could debate that, but when I have looked a little bit into the teachings, like from the Schofield Reference Bible and others, they really embraced the predominant teaching was the gap theory, that there
Yeah.
was a pre-Adamic race between
Yeah,
Genesis
yeah,
1:1
pre-Adamic
and
man,
1:2, and that um, a lot of what we see is what looks like cavemen and these distorted features and
or
this
other
other stuff.
races
Huh?
than Europeans, or other races than Europeans. So it was
Well,
a
it could
common
be
one.
that. I mean, it makes great fodder for that, doesn't it? But um, that all of that was evidence of a pre-existing race, and so they didn't have to go against what the fossil record and these other things had to show, and that was predominant. But the whole 6-day creationism, I was shocked because I was never told this, but it really didn't take a footing because what they'll tell you in churches, well, that's what the church has always believed. The church has always believed that. And I have found out there's some more stuff that are a more fundamental basis that they say the church always believed that they didn't.
Mhm.
And this is one of them. What really made the 6-day creationism get started was a book called The Genesis Flood. You're probably aware of this, Tim.
Vaguely.
1960 by, I believe, Henry Morris. And that really pretty much established what had been dismissed as a belief, even in religious or maybe like hyper extremist fundamentalists, except for that did not believe in a literal 6 day, but they sort of created it from this. I think he was like a hydraulic engineer or something like that. And that's what,
1960s, really late. That's really later than I would
1960.
have
Yeah.
thought. Yeah,
Yeah. 4 years before I was born.
right.
And so I find that interesting how we've had a reinvented past.
Yeah.
This reinvented past of this unbroken chain of belief of the true believers, you know, and how well they reinvented stuff. This I find consistent with the stuff that was in my book about how we invented this thing about America being a Christian nation and George Washington praying in the snow at Valley Forge and in God we trust, and how all of that was a Cold War construct
Oh,
done
really?
literally in a matter of
Let me
months.
let me get in here real quick. I think Nathan has got to go. So Nathan, I
Oh,
want to
sure.
thank you for being with us, man. And
Thanks, dude.
also, what you got coming up next? Penny Royal 3. Is there?
Yeah, man. Next year. Well, there's some stuff with Steve Berg. We're releasing some things at the beginning of the year, and then yeah, season 3 of Penny Royal will be out early next year or like in the spring. And yeah, we've got some good stuff cooking. So I'm gonna send you guys all links to the app too, so you can try
Please
the
do.
Yes.
and
Good,
Thank you.
absolutely.
play
Yeah,
around with it.
would love that.
That'd
Hey,
be cool.
hey
Still-
Nathan, are
still
you
working.
a naturally born Kentuckian?
I am. I was born in Eastern Kentucky in Salyersville in McGoffin County, like in the
There you go. Wow.
Okay. I was born right off Preston Highway in Louisville.
Ah,
Close to Audubon Park and Camp Taylor, just inside the Watterson Expressway.
oh
And I
yes,
was
Jesus.
hoping you and I could correct these gentlemen that what we're experiencing tonight is episode 500. This is 500, at least where I come from.
500.
500.
500.
And Adam, man, thanks for having me on too, man. For the
Thank you,
500.
thank you for coming, Nathan.
I love
really
you,
appreciate
dude.
you
I love
being.
you. Thanks, and
Love you too, man.
yeah, I love all of you. You guys,
We
are
love
awesome.
you, man.
So anyway, I'll be talking to all of you, I'm sure soon. So
Very
Absolutely.
soon.
but I'll see you guys. Have
Hey, have a happy
fun.
holiday season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy holidays, guys. All right,
Thanks
I
for
love you
being a
guys. I'll
part
see
of
you
this
later.
tonight,
All
Nathan.
right,
See you, man. Peace out.
see you, man.
This
See you,
place
buddy.
feels like the Love Boat.
It is
There
the
you
love
go.
boat, man. It is the
You
love
can be
boat.
you can be Adam's Captain Stubing. Now you said you were born on the expressway. What were you born in the back of a taxi cab or something?
In the back seat of a Greyhound bus, rolling
one
down
of those
Highway 41.
one of those sitcom episodes.
That's why they call me a rambling man.
She's having her baby. We need to get in the back of this mail truck.
No, it was I was probably named after the hospital. It was St. Joseph's Hospital, right by the University of
go.
Louisville campus, actually. Yep.
Old St.
Mike.
Joe's.
Speaking
In
of
fact,
all
I
this,
grew up, I would have seen that UPS truck or airplane that crashed the other day from my house. I live that close.
Really?
For all that
Yeah,
went
that
down.
was crazy.
Yeah, they took the tough ride.
Dr. Future, did they ever get to the bottom of that kid that went missing around that area where you
Nope.
are in Tennessee? That's a
Nope.
crazy story. That's
Nope, I
wild.
see them all the time. I see them out all the time. I mean, I could see the
Jeez.
house.
Not the
basically
missing
from where my
kid.
house
Let's
is.
clarify.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Let's-
Dr.
Oh,
Future's the worst witness ever. Yeah, he's just like, I see him all the time.
No,
Yeah,
not him.
that's
His parents.
that's a-
Excuse me.
That's quite the mystery. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, 17-year-old kid after, what, year and a half or more.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It is a bizarre. I mean, even Dog the Bounty Hunter was here. He couldn't solve it.
Yeah.
Well, things got crazy in your neighborhood for a good while. Like people were just always like YouTubers were coming out there and
Just
causing
trolling
problems.
through
People
the
taking pictures of the
Yeah,
house.
it got
and-
to be a huge thing in the true crime community for like 6 months, and then it kind of fizzled out because nothing ever came of it. But it was
right.
like
Prowling
lots
through
of
the
crazy
streets.
theories. Yeah.
Yeah. Out walking Buster, and like they're just going by with their cameras by you real slow, going by. It pitted neighbors against each other. One of ex-cop in our neighborhood had to confront somebody that wouldn't go away,
Oh God.
and they started accusing other
Crazy.
neighbors of weird stuff and pitting everybody against each other. It was something to observe because
Yeah.
you see this other stuff when it doesn't touch your community, and you just think, "Oh, gee whiz, that's interesting," and you don't realize how a mystery like this can tear apart a neighborhood.
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure. Plus, then you get like you get like those internet people, and then they're like, well, what about this fucking? They have these theories and shit. You don't want to fucking get roped into one of their theories. So,
Right?
yeah, it's
Was
wild.
it online sleuths, online detectives? Yeah.
Yeah, with all these theories and shit.
They're thick as
Yeah.
fleas. I tell you what, you've not lived until you see these people on YouTube, and then you see your house on their videos.
Yeah.
Even if they're just driving by, to get to the other house, and they're pointing and trying to speculate who lives in there. And
Oh God.
that's a weird
Jesus.
experience.
I bet.
Yeah.
hey Mike, I wanted to ask you about since we were speaking about theocracies, when you were working for Uncle Sam, did you spend any time in Utah that you
Well,
can talk about?
my experiences, I had one as a government employee, a scientist, and I think that was at the F-16 place where they had F-16s. But my bigger experience was with my inventions right as I was leaving there. I guess it was my last few months. I was finishing my PhD and I was trying to sell one of my inventions. So I went to St. George, which right there in the south west corner where I think that radiation like killed a bunch of Hollywood stars when they made that movie The Mongol, because of
No, the
that radiation
Conqueror.
cloud
The
that went through
Conqueror.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Killed
rumors that that's what did in John
John
Wayne
Wayne.
himself.
John
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne, Susan Hayward, I believe, a whole bunch of them all died, around the same time after they did that movie. But I had two different experiences sort of around it, but the main one, oh, actually three now that I think about it. Sort of between Arizona and Utah, I worked at a rocket sled track to set up a test where a truck would be propelled by rockets in the back and run into the back of a police car with my invention on it at 80 miles an hour to see if it made the fuel tank erupt or if it solved the problem that was killing the cops. And had a lot riding on that because they hadn't inked the deal to buy my patents. It was pending upon what happened over a few seconds. And I had no idea if it was going to work or not. So I did some praying during those seconds when you see in the distance in this desert, it's on a mesa, this BF Goodrich track, you see in this truck, 70 Ford pickup with rocket flames coming out of the back of it, coming to hurl into this thing. Um, I'm always fascinated by what I call desert rats. The people that live out in the middle of
Hmm.
nowhere. And it was
Yeah.
such a surreal trip driving past Grand Canyon and all these other places with I had so much on the line in a car with some other engineer technicians who, if this worked, we would suddenly be partners. If not, we'd never see each other again. Um, I also got offered a job with a very interesting company. Um, the part of the company I would have been, they actually offered me a vice president position in this big publicly traded company called Halotron. And Halotron was part of a bigger company called American Pacific. And the weirdest thing was, this was when one of the times during the post Reagan drawdown of employees where they were constantly firing. We had 35,000 civilian like engineers at Wright Pat. And when I came in at the peak, they kept dwindling them down the whole time I was there. And so one of those things I had to keep an eye open for other jobs. And they knew I was more of a wizard on making stuff. So they were looking at me for being a VP for new product development, and they were based out of Las Vegas. And the weirdest thing about it is like a decade prior to that or more, before I'd ever gotten through college, I remember reading something in the newspaper about this massive explosion that happened that blew through a lot of the buildings in Las Vegas. And it was a company that made rocket fuel. I think it was ammonium perchlorate, rocket fuel, that was hours away in the desert. And what happened was a utility had some kind of gas leak underneath this building, and it caused a chain reaction. And so I remember reading this in the newspaper where these alarms went off, and the speaker announcement told all these hundreds and hundreds of workers, run for the desert, run as fast as you can. And they just immediately ran out the exits and ran in the desert, and stuff started blowing up, and buses and other big things were blowing over their heads as they were running, and it just leveled it. But like hours away, it blew out the windows in the high rises in Las Vegas. Well, it turns out this was the only company that made rocket fuel for the government, and it was a mission critical substance. So the government said you should have planned for something because the company was going to fold, but they had to have this rocket fuel. And so there was sort of a detente. The government says you should have had other plans to keep your company in case something like this happened. Company said, hey, we had no idea to prepare for something like this. And so they came up with this deal where the government paid to rebuild the rocket fuel plant, but they had to find another side business. And that's when this whole Montreal Protocol, the ozone hole problem, global warming, and they started making these new chemicals for firefighting. And they bought some from a Swedish inventor Jan Anderson, that I finally met one day, whose crowning achievement with his millions was that he bought a Firebird like Smokey and the Bandit. that I got to see as his reward. But their test place was also up in the St. George area. I know I'm not digressing here, but uh, so I got to go up there in St. George and look at this like 100-foot wide fire pit where they would set fires, and firemen would run right in the middle of the burning fuel and like have a hose and trying to push the fire away from surrounding them because the fire would go all the way around them and they're trying to move the hose around. These guys had, I mean, they had big kahunas to do this. So I got to sort of get familiar around there. This company had a USFL football team. So they had a booth, you know, the Las Vegas Gamblers or whatever they were. But the entire family were all Mormon. And I would have been the only non-Mormon person on the like the upper tier and non-family,
Can't
even
have
though they were
that.
publicly
Yeah.
traded. And
Probably wouldn't have worked
so
out too well for you.
they offered me, you know, like a 50% raise and all this other stuff, and I blinked and I didn't take it. And
Oh.
but it was an interesting experience. And every time I get drug up to, and I'll tell you another story too. I guess I can tell this. This is something I probably would have had to been quiet about, but
All right.
at this stage of things, I could probably be a little bit more uh
Well,
open.
don't tell us
In the
more that
This was
we
a
might not
different
be able to
adventure. Huh?
Dish, yeah.
Yeah, we
This
not.
was Yeah, this was something I probably would have got in trouble to talk about. And it's not government secret, it's a corporate thing. Um the One of
We
my
need to
other
edit this out,
inventions
Mike.
You can tell us
involved
later
the
if we need to. You can tell
pyrotechnic
us later.
rocket motors. What's
Okay.
that?
I was just saying, Adam was saying that we can edit this out later if you need to.
Okay. Well, this involved my other invention involved pyrotechnic rocket motors to put out fires in buildings like computer rooms or in aircraft engines or they're, you know, I developed a version that worked inside tanks to knock out shape charges when the shape charge would go through inside of a tank, and it would not, you know, mess up the people or choke them to death. Made pure nitrogen. Well, ATK Thiokol, which is the main company that builds the rocket motors for the space shuttle, you know, those great big ones that they use to launch with. Um, well, their solid propellants, which is what I was dealing with, was what their forte. And I had talked to them about this when I had been shopping it around different companies. Well, they wanted to come on as a partner with this Canadian company that I sold it to. And I got stuck with this Canadian company. It's a long story, but I was sort of threatened legally if I didn't. And it was a real mess. I was stuck with this one guy that was connected to the largest safety equipment company in Canada. And so their test facility was also in Utah. It was actually right on the Utah-Idaho border. So it's even remote for Utah standards. And um, we had to go out there. And these things that I did always take me out in the middle of nowhere. So I go out to this place and I notice that their test site has all like these small buildings spaced far apart. And I asked them, why do you all do that? You couldn't have a huge amount of people working these, and it's one of the biggest defense contractors in the country. And they said, well, explosions are pretty routine when you're in this work. And we try to minimize the number of people who get killed when that does happen.
It's nice.
It's sort of just an accepted part of the business.
Wow.
Not much different than like when the Chinese, you know, would have to use the nitroglycerin, you know, to blow up and building the railroads, you know.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
know you're going to lose a few. Well, what they did was, and again, I've never told this to any, but maybe one or two people. They built a building. So I went out there and this was a demo. They were rushing together a demo because they wanted to go fast track and get this on the market. And they were a defense company. They weren't used to commercial products, but it had 1,000,001 uses. And so I go out there to this bunker out to this test place, and out away from it is this just regular, you know, studded building with plywood and everything. And they had this cylinder that I don't know, I guess it would be a little more than 18 inches in diameter, with steel that had to be at least 2.5 inches thick. And if you're not used to dealing with construction materials, you can't understand the strength and weight involved in something that's steel 2.5 inches solid in a cylinder. And it had all these flanges with bolts. The bolts were like over an inch thick in diameter. This the threads, and like 20 of them. So this thing was designed to hold a nuclear bomb. Okay. And it's got these little small cartridges, size of maybe an oil filter. And they're going to set a fire in the room, a little pan fire, let it get deep seated and strong for about 30 seconds, and then start firing this off. They had built bleachers outside of the bunker for all of these top bigwig CEOs from Washington, D.C. They flew in on their jet. These are all the top brass. And so they're all sitting on there wanting to see this demo and how it's going to solve the world's environmental problem. And fire trucks were there because you have to have them, and all this stuff. So, but it's a big deal. Tons of people everywhere. And so they lead me, one of the Canadian reps, in the bunker. And they set up the test. They start the fire, let it go for 30 seconds, and then they start the process of time release this gas out of these pyrotechnics. And it's going fine for about 20 seconds. And then kaboom. And, the things shook, and then the cameras went dead. And the back of the bunker was open, and a fireman was standing in there. And he looked up and said, "Fire in the hole." And he jumped into the bunker. Meanwhile, you're seeing massive pieces of things fall through the open door. And once they, stuff quit falling, we went out, and the building was not there anymore.
Wow.
The building was completely gone. All I could see were like toothpick-sized splinters. And this was just from some little pyrotechnic cartridges that are like size of a couple of oil filters. Well, we couldn't find like this big steel apparatus that they had. And so they had to go up on the mountains, far away in the mountains, and they found the pieces up on the mountains.
Wow.
And they
You'd have
brought it
blown all
back.
the way out there.
Do what?
You'd have blown it all the way up there.
It blown up on the mountains.
Yeah.
And so like the 2.5 inch thick steel plates, it pedaled it open just like it opened it up like a flower on its way off into orbit. So that sort of made a little bit of a damper on moving forward. And what they found out later was they got in such a hurry to impress their senior management that they had rushed the internal structure material, and it was too flimsy, which they should have known better. And the little devices touched each other and detonated. So I guess I was glad at that point that I had already sold it to this Canadian people. And but you know what? Those guys tried to design around my patents later at Thiokol. They have like platoons and platoons of patent engineers that just write on the stuff. I had written it myself. And so we caught them years later trying to write around my patents to come up with a knockoff. And thank goodness the patent company turned them all down. But they had not given up on it. They just decided to do it secretly. And that's also not the first time that's happened to me. So that's a long story, but I just thought that was sort of a cool story. And it turns out it was built successfully. I was able to show that it could stop it inside tanks blowing up stuff in aircraft engines and other things. And then the stuff got shipped off to Latvia with the ex-prime minister of Latvia, one of the investors. And I don't hear as much about it now. So, but I'm sure everybody can relate to that experience. I know we've all been there with our
This
Latvian
maybe,
experience.
yeah. Well, I think you probably have, of any guest on Conspirinormal, you actually have much more practical hands-on
With oligarchs
experience with explosives.
Yeah.
So and fire suppression.
I'm just glad to be living here today. I always let other people be in harm's way.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I was just curious because I've recently spent some time in in Utah, and yeah, it's kind of the same trajectory. You know what people speculate about all these places out there, Skinwalker Ranch and everything. That it's weapons
Yeah.
testing, and it that Mormon, the base of everyone belonging to the same culture, this kind of ethnic thing. I think is like the first layer that makes it really easy to keep doing a lot of secret shit out there that might be harder than other places.
Um, I don't mean to be distracted. I was going to show you something since you brought this up. Um, my higher power took me to a new old bookstore in Hendersonville today. And, they're normally not going to have anything. It's mostly novels and stuff I'm expecting. But they had a section on weird religious and like cult and occult stuff. And so I'm going through the books. And so I wanted to show you, Sir Fiel. I did get this book. It's called The Mormonizing of America. And that'll be part of my other book writing that I'm doing because all this thing with Mr. Ballard and Operation Underground Rescue and how they co-opted evangelical Christianity, who was still too dumb to know when they were being played, in an operation to actually convert evangelicals to become Mormons that Glenn Beck was part of. Um, yeah, I'm interested in that.
They have their outreach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I
I
had
went
another
into the
loved one who was out there and actually went inside the Mormon Tabernacle for like one of their little service things, and they shut the door and locked them in. And they didn't find that very pleasant at all.
Well,
And they weren't expecting that.
let
I went
me
into the belly of the beast a little bit and walked around downtown Salt Lake. The temple's under construction right now, but I went
Yeah.
into a lot of other stuff and made sure to tell all the young missionaries that I was a descendant of the prophet's family, and
there you
got to
go.
see like holograms of my ancestors and stuff.
Sweet.
It's wild.
Strange.
These
Well,
were the pre-conspirinormalites.
yes.
Yeah,
Well,
Uh,
did you have the same experience that William Schnoblin had at the temple?
I don't know what that is.
let me
William Schnoblin, he spoke at like the Ancient of Days conference. First one I was at, 2005. Um, he and his wife were supposedly Mormon. Of course, he was also a ex Wicca Satanist priest. Uh, what else? What
that
else
would
was he
be
at? A Freemason
Did a world
yes,
priest.
tour.
yes. He was a
He's been all
Mormon as
those.
well. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
he went now. I just want to verify this because he went to the Mormon Tabernacle, and when his wife told him that he was part of like one of the original families that moved, with Brigham Young, I guess. He says they were allowed into the basement of the Mormon Tabernacle, and they actually saw the reptilians that were
Oh
really
yeah,
behind
okay,
the
I
whole
Of
remember this.
course.
Mormonism movement.
Yeah.
So,
Of
did you
course.
see any of that?
Did you
Or are
see the
you not that
reptilians?
insider?
No, there's just that uncanny valley with a lot of those folks. Put it that way. Something
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go
something
ahead and
missing.
wrap up because on Tim and Josh got to go. So we'll go ahead and go ahead and wrap up the show. I want to thank you guys for being a part of this, and just let me go down the line here, guys.
Hey, Adam,
Tim,
I thought this was like another 3 hour episode. It's five
no,
Well,
it's
they
not.
minutes
can,
after
they
all.
can, they can. I'm gonna dip out. They can keep
It's
you going
Mike,
for a while, Doctor Future.
we can
Sorry,
continue to
sorry, I got
talk.
him going, guys.
I'm ready to fall asleep. I don't want to be.
Yeah,
Well, I
Adam
didn't mean
probably.
to jaw
Uh,
so much. I thought we had
no,
three
you're
hours
fine.
to fill. I just
no,
You're
it's
assumed.
fine.
all right.
No,
It's
no,
all
no,
right.
no.
You didn't say
But
anything for the first 30 minutes, so I was like, "Shit, Doctor Future. Are they gonna let Doctor Future say anything?"
Well,
And
thanks,
then,
Tim. Thanks for
wow,
looking out for me.
I know. Well,
I
I never spoke up.
had somebody get on to me on the show once for not letting Dr. Future talk for like the first like 10 minutes.
Well,
And then
they,
they were
He's gonna
angry
talk the rest of the show.
at
Jesus
like,
Christ, yeah,
that
I
I
had to
didn't let him
disguise my
talk.
voice.
Jesus.
But Tim, let's talk about what's next for you, man. You've got the revival going on right now, so
Yeah. When's this
you
show
know,
coming out?
this show probably in the next like couple of weeks.
All right. Well, around this time, we'll have Ruxgiving, which weirdly enough is the 100th episode of the revival. We're not doing anything particularly
Oh,
special.
nice.
It's just weird timing of it.
Okay.
Then probably ride it out through the holidays and maybe take like a month off in January or something like that. But I have no I have nothing on the horizon at all right now, which is kind of both nice and also kind of like, oh shit, worrisome in a way. But it was like I had a big chunk of time from my I guess you could go all the way back to the first pitch at the Sea Dogs game in July, but really the road trip to Gettysburg with Matt Hopewell in mid August or whatever up to our recent Bigfoot excursion was like 2.5 months of just a whole bunch of crazy shit. So I have nothing on the agenda, but I'm sure I'll start filling in 2026. Now that I can relax a little bit after all that stuff. So yeah, but all of America, yeah, you know where to find us, and the article's over at Coast to Coast AM. That's pretty much it.
All right,
Hey,
thank you,
Tim, what
Tim.
do you think the big story is going to be in 2026 that you're most fascinated by?
Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I feel like UFOs, like the whole thing, is kind of fizzled out. So
World War
um,
Three, probably.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like geopolitics and real world concerns are gonna the economy. Actually, quite frankly, the fucking economy. That I didn't want to be too dark, but it was like probably a depression or something, or some kind of massive the AI bubble will burst or something, and we're just
Right.
really ill prepared for that. I feel like we're like how the pandemic came and everybody was like, oh shit. I think maybe something like that will happen. I hope not, but it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
every December when I listen to like the year ahead astrological forecast, I always get what I call the astrology flu. And this year I'm having early onset astrology flu because it's just this
yeah.
is 2026 has been the year that everybody's been predicting that things really hit the fan. So
Yeah, yeah.
real
So it's
excited
hard
for
for
that.
me to like be like, oh, I think that you'll see. I think that as things get crazier, though, you'll see a turn toward more like magic thinking and sort of like I don't want to call it witchcraft, but like psychics and sort of new agey kind of like. I think people will turn to that for kind of comfort and what they think are answers. So that
Hmm.
would be sort of my prediction on that kind of thing.
Okay.
Who knows? You never know what's going to happen.
And Josh, for you?
I am going to be in 3 weeks from today, heading over to Esalen with Dr. Kreipel and Kevin Can.
Hmm.
That's it's a real big bucket list item for me. I
Big
have a
time.
couple of yeah. I'm
That's awesome, dude.
I kind of it's one of those things where you like I don't want to talk about it or think about it until I'm there, because I keep on feeling like it's gonna be, something's gonna happen between now and then. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. There's a couple of things that I'm really excited about to events and stuff for 2026. Those haven't been officially announced yet, but really excited about them. I should probably be in the Midwest and New York and a couple other places next year. If everything goes according to plan. Like 5 different book projects in the works and a documentary might be happening sometime soon. So just staying busy, trying to finish this year strong. Wrapping up my course with the California Institute of Integral Studies. And that's wrapping up, and then I've got, like I said, Esalen. So just gonna finish this year strong, and then hopefully things will start being announced next year, so I can talk about them openly. But I'm really excited about some of the stuff for next year if it happens.
Hmm.
That's awesome,
Cool.
dude. So
Good.
proud of you, Josh.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And Dr. Future, Mike.
Hmm. Well, to quote Matt Foley, motivational speaker, not jack squat. Uh, um, well, I'll tell you a few, I've sort of had a little tyranny of the urgent and domestic things, the mundane that's taken the overwhelming majority of my time. Um, I have several book projects, a few new ones going right now too, but they just take me a long time because of the distractions. But it's always my goal to make that more of my main things to get these knocked out. I've got formatting paperwork and stuff in front of me right now, so I'm trying to get serious about it. But I will give you an announcement about something to maybe keep an eye on. Um, I was approached by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution just recently
Nice. Yeah.
to they interviewed me, like, I don't know, 90-minute, 2 hour podcast interview. They are trying to solve who blew up the Georgia Guidestones.
Yes, I love it.
And
Yeah,
and
nice. Keep us posted on
they
that.
Well, they gave me a real shot in the arm, because I'm over
Nice.
here and nobody noticed other than my friends here.
Yeah.
Nobody really notices a lot of what I do, and it's like I'm just nobody. Um, they told me, they're real journalists. They said we watched this documentary, and they said this is some of the best journalism we have ever seen.
Nice.
They
Congrats.
said this is top
Fantastic.
drawer journalism
Well
that we've
deserved.
had, and it is amazing what you accomplished in solving this. And so
Good.
they wanted a lot more detail. I had some more things that I wasn't able to sell to the editor to put into it that I was able to share in it. But they had already been to Elberton, and I haven't had a full disclosure yet of what else they got a lot more leverage to get people to loosen lips.
Right.
And I'm hoping they went to Iowa. They told me they want to go there next, but they felt a lot of pressure. They felt a lot of sort of ominous pressure in different fronts and what they're trying to get to.
Interesting.
I find it very interesting.
Are they doing a podcast, or are they doing a long form article or
they
something? What
said
are they
now,
working
they
on?
said there will be an article too, but now they emphasize the podcast over the article. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which would be the de facto newspaper of record for the South, has stopped paper printing.
Oh, wow.
They do not release newspapers anymore. They see the handwriting on the wall. And so they're emphasizing, they said this podcast, now it's not huge, but they said even on our smaller stories, it gets at least 175,000 plus listeners. And
wow.
they said this will be a whole lot more than that. So, at least it maybe will make all of us a little bit more known, in our circles.
Nice.
But that's supposed to not go out until January. So
Okay.
I'm really excited to see what they have found, if they've cracked any more nuts. I mean, we got into weird mystical stuff. I was been sharing with them about a cult called Onaxis that had latched itself onto the Guidestones. And I don't know if you all remember that mysterious letter that I found in the construction documents about what appeared to be something that was supposed to go in the time capsule. And I got differing answers after they blew up when I called the guy, Wayne Mullinex, who had dug the foundation for it. He told me when I first called him that they took out the time capsule and took it to the Elberton Star newspaper, which is what that letter says you're supposed to do. And then you're supposed to contact the Atlanta Rosicrucian Society. So that was part of the protocol. He was playing sort of coy with them. They explicitly put a newspaper article out saying, "Oh, there was no time capsule.
Right.
There was
Yeah, I remember
nothing
that.
that was found." And so I have no idea what to believe. And I just told them, I said, they'll try to yank your chain because they're just amused by this and they like the power trip. And so I sort of prepared the newspaper, but they got a lot more muscle to get to the bottom of something. So I'm hoping they can add a whole lot more to what's going on, including the guys connected in Iowa. And it would be great if they found more than two, but that may be a bridge too far. They only stay on stories only so long and they have to move on. So crossing my fingers. Other than that, like I said, I'm working on some other book projects and things like that. So
Well, I
pretty
can't wait. I
boring.
can't wait for that to drop. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
cool.
great.
Well, now that the show's back up now, as soon as that hits, I'll forward it, hot off the press to Adam, and he can dissipate that to everybody.
Yeah.
Excellent.
To go catch at, and we'll see what they find.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
That's great news. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Well, Sergio, that's episode 500 in the books. So
There you go.
Congratulations, boys.
yeah, we will be after 8 months. It finally got done.
It's like a baby, almost.
Yeah, we'll be returning with other episodes. I want to get probably I'd like to get Robert Guffey back on the show, and then Mike probably we'll see you at the end of the year,
Yeah.
next month. For our usual show that we used to do, and
I've been thinking the last few days about this incredible accomplishment of 500 shows, which is an incredible accomplishment. And I was just thinking about, for all of your listeners out there, the thousands and thousands of hours of wasted time they spent listening to the
yes,
show.
yes, yes.
And when
Hours
they
of
could have
wasted
been
time.
doing something useful. And I
and
thought,
productive
if
with their lives.
if
Yes.
they had applied it to something like finding a cure for cancer, we would probably have a cure today.
Yeah.
Rather than
It's
Instead
just
of
listening to
like,
stuff.
yeah, it's learning a
instead of
skill.
listening to
Yeah.
Conspirinormal.
But I
Yeah.
don't take that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad
Well,
way, but
thank
I
you. I
just was
appreciate it.
reflecting
No,
on that.
yeah, no,
Especially
it's
those Doctor Future episodes, it really runs up the
yeah.
clock.
Yeah, of zero redeeming value.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody out there in the audience, stay tuned for more, and we'll be back.